Thank you so much, Maria. We're talking about talents today, and boy, all the different talents we have within this church. Thank you so much. Okay, friends, this is the last of the parables that we've had for a number of weeks in a row here. And this is the last time I'm going to remind you that even if you don't get the parable right the first reading, God is still with you. God is still working within you, and God is working to help realize God's own dream for you. So even if it takes you in a different direction the first time you read it, God is working in you. Remember that, friends. So from that spirit, there are two parts to this sermon. They're dancing along with one another in the midst of it. There's the parable itself, and the reason it is recorded in this gospel, and the reasons that it would have sent the heads and hearts of the early disciples of Jesus spinning with contemplation, epiphanies of understanding. And then there's the way it sent my own head and heart spinning this week. Morgan Park, November 2020. So first, let's name it. Friends, use your talents. Sound good? Okay, we're done. Leaving. Now, this is worth sharing because talents were a unit of money in the ancient world, and in this case, the amount of money referred to, the 5 talents and the 2 talents and the 1 talent, is actually quite a lot of money. One scholar in a commentary this week said, many years, many generations could have lived off the talents in this story. Also worth adding is, I get to do the Greek, although I don't know how to pronounce it, the word for possessions. I messed it up. Hyparzona, I think it is. I had those too, darn it. It's like phylactery, Zach. Like so much Greek, it's not just the tangible object, it is a bigger systematic way of thinking. So it's not just the material goods they refer to with that word, but, as I read quoted, one's entire substance and life. So your whole possessions is not just your material wealth, how much you have in your bank, but your entire substance and life. A different concept that gets lost in translation, like so many. Hyperzona, I think it was. That's going to bug me, sorry. So the master in this story, in this parable, is not just entrusting property and cash assets. He's entrusting his whole substance and life. So these talents that we refer to literally mean our whole substance. It's everything we have. Am I boring you yet? Let's put it this way. Jesus was not rich, but he certainly had lots of talents, right? Lots of substance, lots of life. And yes, he gives it all. You follow me? That's the kind of talents we're talking about, not just material riches, but the whole self. And you can see how that infused into the parable brings this extra meaning to it. The thing is, even though we are not the Son of God, we are all beloved children of God. And we all have talents. Do we give them? Do we share them? Do we use them? Another commentator this week wrote, use your talents and good things happen, including amazing growth in us as well as in the reign of God. Bury them, leave them unexercised, and we end up out in the cold. And the talents are given from the master, commensurate to the perceived capacities of the recipient. Some of us have great talents, some are very humble in our talents. 5 talents here, 2 talents there, 1 talent to that third fellow. You know how this goes. But all this to say, God has entrusted you with talents. God has entrusted you with talents, and what do you do with them? What do I do with them? We asked this question in our Bible study, and just like last week when we asked as if we were the foolish bridesmaids or any of the bridesmaids, how does our lamp shine to welcome Jesus uniquely in our own lives and collectively as a whole? We ask this week, how do each and every one of us use the talents that God has gifted us with? And the critique here from Jesus is not upon the big picture. The critique is upon the one that was entrusted with a small amount of talent, and even with the small amount did not use it wisely. He buried it away, if you follow my metaphor here. Do you feel the challenge from Jesus now in that parable? For all the times that Jesus tells us lovingly in the Bible, do not fear. Jesus also challenges us. And today he challenges us by asking, are you hiding the gifts and substance and life that I gave to you? So what if you heard God ask you that question? Friends, I'll be honest. I am. I feel fairly certain that I am much more capable in many different areas than what I'm exercising and displaying in my everyday life. I'm going to call it out, friends. And I have lots of really good excuses for all that. I say to myself, it's been quite a time of transition for me in the past few years, so it's no wonder that I'm just kind of going through the motions in life. Or I'll say, I want to make sure that I go easy on myself and I don't burn out. Or I'll say this is a period of my life that involves rest and regrouping. There's plenty of time in the future to burn with a hot and passionate flame and use all of my gifts and talents. On and on and on this goes. But what I'm hearing God say in the parable this morning, what I'm hearing Jesus challenge me with, what's that old line? A ship is safe in harbor. But that's not what ships are for. You've heard that before? In other words, use your talents. You know, I read somewhere, and I couldn't find this quote. I was looking through the books. I couldn't find it. Maybe I borrowed the book out. I read somewhere that people in churches should participate in 3-year cycles. Now, mind you, this is a model for larger and dynamic, thriving churches where there is an abundance of people to participate in this model. But friends, I believe we'll get there, so let me share this as a horizon that we walk toward. 3-year cycles. For 3 years, the advice is, we should serve, each one of us uniquely. We should serve using our best gifts and talents for the betterment of the whole. The skills that each one of us bring to the church together should be celebrated and honored and nurtured. In this time, those 3 years, we should not just be showing off what we can do and what we know, but in the spirit of community and fellowship, we should be mentoring others to develop those skills that they may want. We are both showing off our talents and teaching our gifts and skills to others. Friends, I would love to teach somebody the tips and tricks of preaching. I think I have a talent there. Some of you may very much disagree with that one, but I'm certain there are others that would love to learn how to speak from the pulpit in a sermon. And I would love to teach it. So that's 3 years. And then for 3 years, we should serve by learning a new talent, an interest, or a curiosity of ours. I wonder how I'd be at that. You ever want to sing in a choir? Yes, you can sing in a choir. You can learn from those that have the talent. We have trusted mentors that can guide you. You ever want to learn about building maintenance? Yes, you can learn from those that have that talent. Ever want to learn to cook? Same thing. You are still serving in that next 3 years, but you are taking the existing talents and, like the most trusted servant in the parable, you're growing them. You're growing your own talents. And then for 3 years after that, each of us should take some time and just enjoy church. Don't be on a committee, don't have a lot of responsibilities, but in the spirit of the word sanctuary that we use, a safe and a healing place, and fellowship of the wonderful love we share with one another. In those 3 years, we should just be joy in church, sharing our stories, exploring our faith, being full of love and sharing tidings of comfort and joy. Did I really just give a Christmas metaphor? It's too early for a Christmas song. I'm sorry about that. Because think of it this way. You ever walk into a church and think, any of us walk into church and go, oh, I got a lot to do today, and feel a bit weary about it? Ever walk into a church and everyone around you is just running around busy and doing things and doesn't have time to sit back and enjoy one another's company? Ever seen that? You ever walk into a church and see people laughing and joking and chatting and fellowship and friendship? You see how all three of those parts come in play here. And each one of them, each one of those parts exhibits different talents. Yes, friends, fixing a boiler is a talent. Cooking donuts is a talent. But welcoming someone in love is also a talent. Welcoming a stranger and having them feel comfortable is a talent. Talents are also the gifts of our experiences, the gifts of your experience. You could call that a talent. Remember, whole substance and life of a person, that's a talent. The wisdom you share with others. Sometimes just life experience, stories and lessons you've learned, life wisdom. Those are talents. When I sit and chat, when I could, with those that we call in the church the homebounds, a term I really want to challenge, often I hear from them about what they used to do in the church, about the things they used to do to help out the church. And often echoed in that statement of what they used to do is another statement. Well, I can't do it anymore. And so people that are still sometimes capable of getting to church, even if they can't help like they used to, they deem themselves unnecessary because they're unhelpful. They think of themselves as dead weight. Well, what's wrong with that, friends? What's wrong with that? And I say to them, like I hope every single one of you would if they shared the same thing to you, no, you carry the wisdom of full life. The wisdom of experience and history and story. You are our elders. And we need to learn from you. For you have the wisdom. You're not dead weight. Just because you're not mopping the floor or fixing the boiler or running the books anymore, you're not dead weight. So make me this promise, friends. Can you make me this promise, every single person here? When you can no longer help here in the church the ways you did when you were younger, promise me you won't walk away from the church. Don't just sit in your room and assume you are not of value. Don't assume You shouldn't be here because you don't want to be a bother. We need you. Because if we don't have the wisdom of our elders to teach us who we are, who we were, and what we have learned along the way, we're all the lesser and lacking for it, aren't we? So in that spirit, friends, consider today. Those talents you share, each of us share something unique for the church and the gifts we give. Those that we share in abundance and spread, here's a challenge. Where have you taught the gifts you have to others as they come into the church? Where have you mentored those that may not have the talents you have? And where are you hiding those talents? What talents are there that you're burying away? It's pretty clear we know what Jesus' intent is with the talents God has given you. I had a second part which connected with the actual title of the sermon, the hierarchy of trust. Do you know what I did? Instead of writing it down, I went outside and shoveled. That's a talent, right? I'm fairly in good shape, right? We use those gifts, friends. They're not pigeonholed in specific places in our lives, specific things we're good at and things we aren't good at. God gave us many gifts, and we continue to grow. Just as God continues to speak and dwell within and around us, we continue to grow. And I think of this time, as we're in a minimal version of church, the presence, the fellowship is not as profound. This is a good time to creatively think, how do I use the talents my master entrusted me with? We walk forward from there, friends. Peace be with you. And let us sing number 281. Good song.